live. If you guys want to join us, we always love to have you. We love that guest interaction. So if you want to jump in now, sellerroundtable.com/live, and we're about to get started. All righty, here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andy Arnott. Amy is on an airplane right now, so she won't be joining us today, but we are super excited to have Jen Mckee on. Jen, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're talking social media marketing, but before we get to that, we would love what we call the street cred, right? So we would love to hear more about you, Hard Knocks, school, where you're born, where you're raised, kind of as much or as little as you'd like to share. We always love to get some background and kind of your journey till where you are today.
Cool. So I'm Jen Mckee. I own Keyheart Marketing, social media marketing agency. I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, born and raised. I actually found Amy that way because she's also here in San Antonio, not currently, obviously. But I have 2 kids in elementary school, husband. I started my company about 3 years ago, I guess almost 4 years ago now. I worked in a restaurant for 17 years. I went to school for interior design. None of it was really sticking. And so I was doing some marketing for a friend and realized that social media was a huge need for business owners, and it was something I could actually offer as a service. So I started reaching out to business owners that I knew, and I was able to get some of my first clients that way, luckily. And Keyheart Marketing was really a side hustle for me as I continued bartending. If any of you guys have ever done that, you know that it's pretty lucrative and hard to get out of when it's just like easy money and easy hours. And when the pandemic hit, I was kind of forced out of bartending, which was a blessing. And in the last 2 years, I've been able to really scale it into an agency. So I now have 4 creators working with me to help with all of my client fulfillment. We've been able to really focus in on organic social media, so the non-paid social, not advertised social, just brand building, thought leadership, community building type social. And we're right now, and especially going into 2022, really leaning into short form video. We're only taking on clients who are ready and willing to do that. So our clients, we're putting them on TikTok, on Instagram. We even have some on YouTube Shorts. And then we're still creating static content, but we're also repurposing that video for Facebook and LinkedIn and wherever else. So yeah, that's pretty much the short story long story short.
I love it. And so you kind of give us a little insight into some of the platforms that you work on. I'd love to know kind of why you chose those platforms and what the benefits are to those platforms.
That's a really good question. So I completely ignore Twitter, which like some people might think I'm crazy for doing that, but I love Twitter when like I'm live. Like I love watching live tweets of something happening right now, and that's like what I use Twitter for, similar to Reddit. But I use it, Facebook and Instagram, if you don't know, are the same company, newly rebranded to Meta. But they're the same company. So Facebook is one of the largest advertisers around. It is important to have a presence. It's a good place to get reviews and testimonials from customers that show that they're legit people. Like you can't fake a Facebook review. So I love that for brands and businesses. It's obviously a huge advertising platform. So building up an organic presence is super important if you ever plan to use it for advertising. And it's a search engine. Like most people are on Facebook. And so as a business, I do think it's important to be on Facebook. Instagram is a little bit different. It is connected. So same thing with the advertising. Instagram, I feel like there's still a little bit of opportunity to build community. You can use hashtags to kind of get yourself into conversations. It's still a place where a lot of people are hanging out in the stories and the reels. So that's why we do love Instagram. And then we love TikTok because of the reach and possibilities on TikTok right now. Facebook and Instagram are not really an easy place to get in front of a bunch of new people quickly without spending advertising money. On TikTok, we can post TikTok videos and get in front of hundreds or thousands of people with the very first time that we're posting. If you're really lucky, millions. We haven't done millions with one of our first posts yet, but overall, we've gotten in front of millions of people on TikTok. So there's so much opportunity right now on that platform. And just like any other platform, that opportunity won't be there forever. So that's why we're really focused on it right now.
I love that. So, one of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with are ideas on what to post on social, right? They're like, "Oh, I'm an Amazon seller and I sell dog food. Like, what am I going to post?" So, how do you work with, what do you do to brainstorm with people in terms of like what to post?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So, the first thing that I do whenever I take on a new client is I do competitor research. So I'm going to look at all kinds of people who are in your niche. So if you sell dog food, for instance, go look at what other dog food companies are doing on multiple social platforms. Start taking notes, like what type of content are they posting? Is it video? Is it swiping posts? Is it links to blogs? What type of posts are being engaged with? What type of hashtags are they using? What type of sounds are they using on TikTok? Sorry, my kids just got home. My dogs are going crazy. But the kids won't bother me. And then after that, we come up with content pillars. So that really can be helpful in deciding like what you're going to be consistently posting about. So content pillars might look like, for a dog food brand, it might be like branding type awareness stuff. So just talking specifically about your brand, things that are related to dogs. And so maybe you talk about like dog tips, you could talk about what's in your dog food. You could talk about, you could show like videos for TikTok. You can have a lot of fun. So sometimes we just go completely off of educational and now we're just having fun. So maybe you find or like reach out to your customers and get lots of videos of people like feeding their dogs or like having their dogs sit and wait before the food comes. Like those videos can be really funny. And so doing that competitor research usually helps a lot with coming up with ideas, but then it's just like try things and be willing to accept if that thing isn't the thing that works, like try something else. And so with social media, you have a lot of opportunity to test things. So test it out. If it's not working, move on, and test something else.
Love it. And the other thing that I've seen work really, really well is even if, I always use the example of like, if you're selling bikinis, like Instagram and TikTok, probably going to be phenomenal platforms. But if you're selling office paper, like probably not so good unless you get super creative and do something like the Dollar Shave Club, right? If you don't know Dollar Shave Club, go look them up on YouTube. They did a super low budget, like YouTube video, but it got like tens of millions of views. I think they're up to like 30 million views now or something. It ended up being a huge company. They sold it. But if you can't, sell the product and it's boring, then figure out how you can make it fun. Right. And then
That's
other things.
Exactly true.
Yeah.
That's
And then
exactly
the other
what
things.
I mean, especially with that video.
Right. And the other things I've seen is like journey, right? Like just recording your daily journey on like struggles and like, today my product got, shut down on Amazon and these are my struggles and people will really relate to those. The other thing is questions, right? Like ask your audience questions like, hey, we got this new dog food, what do you love about it? What do you hate about it? Like, what do you wish your dog food had? What makes your dog happy? Those kinds of things that are like really engaging. Am I kind of on the right track there?
Yeah. And I mean, so the content pillars are helpful because they give me something to jump off of. I think that what happens a lot with social media is like that question of what am I going to post? It just becomes like, I'm not going to post anything because it just feels overwhelming. And so when I have like a themed idea of like, well, these are the things that we post about, or on Mondays we post I don't know, something specific to Mondays, like motivational something or something about the town, or I'm just, whatever. But there's also a lot of resources for trying to figure out, like you said, questions. Just you've got a lot of things thinking in my head, but we use a website called answerthepublic.com where you can put in keywords about whether it's like specifically your product, or you go a little bit even more specific in it. So like if you sell dog food, like you might search the keyword dog food, but you might also search like my dog or a specific breed of dog and see the questions that people are asking. You can use Google Trends kind of in the same way, just to see like what's trending in Google searches. YouTube is also a great place to look for the types of questions that people have. And then you talked about like making something boring fun. So that's really where TikTok is having fun. Right now, there's a really great brand on TikTok, Duolingo. They're the language app, and their TikTok is so good, and it has not really a lot to do with learning a new language. They're just doing a lot of really fun branding, and because of it, they're being seen in a big way. So you don't always have to stay like, boring or educational or whatever, even though that might not be boring. It might be really great. Like maybe you're showing how you make dog food. I know we're like really stuck on the dog food. We can move to some other topic. But yeah, having fun, being creative, testing it out, it all works.
Love it. And have you seen, I don't know if you primarily work with e-com sellers, but in working with these different platforms, do you have one that seems to work the best? And kind of what are some of the tactics that you're using on those platform, or on that platform, the one that kind of seems to give, like, I think you said TikTok. Is that still kind of what you're on point for?
Yeah. So when it comes to organic social, like non-paid, the reason I lean towards TikTok is because of the reach, the organic reach that you can get. You can get that on Instagram using Reels still, but it's a lot more difficult. If you are, if you're just, if you have limited time, if you're looking at your lowest hanging fruit opportunities where you can get the biggest bang for your buck, that's why I suggest TikTok. There are limitations though, like you don't have access to links, which is a huge limitation for an e-commerce brand. And so it becomes more of a brand awareness situation. Once you get enough followers, you do have access to links, and those things change. You have access to an Instagram link, so you could move it around, link to your Instagram, whatever. But that is the draw to it. Of course, I think every platform has its advantages. Like with Facebook, you can actually post clickable links, although Facebook probably isn't going to show that to very many people. And so with Instagram, you can post links in your stories now. And you should still get pretty high reach with that. So there is advantage to Instagram. Of course, once you hook up your shop through Facebook, you can tag all your products on Facebook and Instagram. There's an advantage to that. I know that TikTok is setting up shopping. I'm not sure if it's just for advertising or if they're using it for organic yet, but that is something that's coming, down the pipeline with that.
I love that. So another thing, like you said, a lot of platforms, they don't allow you to click, and the kind of call to action to directly purchase a product is kind of difficult. But I know that in the past we've used things like contests and giveaways in conjunction, right? Like go to our website, go to our Facebook group, etc. Like some call to action in the actual content, but also like sweetening the deal with some kind of carrot, right? Is that a good technique? And if so, like any way to kind of maximize that?
So are you asking if that's a good technique on TikTok or just like in general?
Just in general, and any tips on, that type of, that kind of marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there could be pros and cons to that, right? Like one of the cons being that a lot of times you're attracting people who are just interested in free things and they're not really interested in your product. So that's always like the concern. But in general, like if you're looking to improve engagement, that's always going to be a great way to get more engagement. Once your account is getting more engagement, meaning like more people are interacting with it, then you're more likely for them to see the next thing that you post. So it might not go much further than that, but it's going to help a little bit in that way. A lot of times you can add followers that way. Again, that's a vanity metric, but it also could make you look more legit, if somebody's coming to your page. So there are definitely advantages to that. I have found new brands from giveaways that I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I think there is still a draw to it. As far as like in video, in TikTok, it's not something that I've seen done a lot yet. User generated content is still a pretty new thing on TikTok for brands, but I think that there is advantages to giveaways for sure, but I wouldn't rely on it as the only way to grow the account or the only thing that you're posting. If it's the only thing that you're posting, it starts to feel a little bit spammy.
Yeah. So I love that you mentioned kind of, followers, because I think that so many people nowadays are fixated on likes and follows and things like that, and racking up these giant numbers. But in a lot of instances, I've seen smaller, followers, but who are much more engaged, much more connected, like real people, rather than just like, 50,000 people from, somewhere where it doesn't even matter to get your message across to. Is that kind of your theory? Do you go for maximum exposure or maximum engagement and trying to find really the best avatar for those brands?
We are always more focused on number one, whatever our client's focus is, but we like vanity metrics can show us what's happening, right? They can let us know that people, that our content is reaching the right people, that we are getting in front of more people, but they're not like everything that you need to look at. And so we use them, like I said, like I look at our analytics every week across the board for all of our clients, but what I'm looking at is like, are we creating the right type of content? Is our content getting in front of the right people? And what do we need to be making more of? And what do we not need to be as worried about? So that's kind of what I use vanity metrics for. I do not care about follower accounts at all. They don't mean anything. People can buy followers all day long. And honestly, buying followers is going to hurt your account because of the way that the algorithm works. So not necessarily the TikTok algorithm, but Facebook and Instagram is like a percentage of people that are engaging with your content. If you have a ton of followers and no one's ever engaging, you're telling the algorithm that people don't like your content. So if you're buying followers, they're not going to engage with your content, and then the algorithm thinks that your content isn't good. So it's definitely not a good thing to do. But yeah, we look at metrics as a way of telling us like what's working and what's not, but not really much other than that.
Awesome. So, a lot of, if you can't measure success, like there's no way to improve or to know that what you're doing is working. Any specific ways that you measure success when in terms of, some of these various social media campaigns or managing accounts, things like that?
Yeah. So again, it comes down to what our clients are looking for. So and with organic social media, we're playing a long game. We are looking for brand awareness. So it's not like this person's gonna, it's not always this person's gonna become a customer tomorrow, but this person's gonna start to get to know us and they're gonna be in our circle of influence. We're gonna try to get them on our email list, and then we're gonna continue to build a relationship with them to move forward. So our metrics, they just depend on what it is that we're doing. What I'm always looking at, like I said, is like sharing, saving, engaging, and then if we're getting more views when it comes to the videos, and the views are dependent on how long somebody's watching our content. So that's really why we're looking at that.
I love it. Okay, so I want to switch gears a little bit. This is kind of a loaded question, but I'm curious. It's for me, it's kind of like, buying products in China. Like you're like, okay, that or at least for me, I feel like kind of icky about doing that, but it's kind of like you have to, right? So kind of, do you feel that social media is evil or bad? And if so, how do you think we can change it? Or do you think that we're going in the right or the wrong direction in terms of our digital lives?
That is a loaded question. No, but I really love it. So I think that social media could be bad, but I think that it's important that all of us set boundaries for ourselves on social media. So, for instance, my husband just recently said, like, oh, every time I get on Facebook, it's just so horrible. And I'm like, okay, you haven't curated your Facebook feed. Like, I personally unfollow and unfriend and unlike things that they're not showing me what I want to see. And it's not it's like there's no point in putting negativity into your life every day when you have control over what it is that's getting in front of you. So I suggest that if anybody listening to this ever feels like everything on their social media is always so negative and they're always seeing these people and they're just like, oh, you need to unfollow those people or unfriend them. And it's not to say that if they're your mom even, or your aunt, or your best friend's husband or whatever, that doesn't mean it's honestly going to protect your relationship with them in the long run to not have to see their daily threads of things that you don't agree with. And so I curate all of my social feeds so that I'm not seeing things that make me feel bad. I try to get off of social media at a certain time. So I was really good about it for a while, and it's definitely gone downhill, but turn off social media at 6 p.m. And for me, it's because I'm on it all day. I recognize people are at work all day and whatever. I'm on it all day. I need to be off of it. Not be on social media on Sundays at all. So allowing yourself to be more present in the times. I also I don't put my kids on social media. You won't see them. They're on my TikTok a teeny tiny bit, but I don't put their faces anywhere because I don't know. I just think it's weird. It was because people that we casually knew were like, oh my gosh, your kids are getting so big. And I'm like, you've never even met them. And this is weird. So I'm like, done. And so I think that it's important to set your own boundaries in your social media across all the platforms, whether it is curating your feed or giving yourself time to get off of it. Instagram just released a new feature called a break or something. I just saw it before we got on here, where you can set Instagram to tell you to get off of it. After whatever time you've decided that you've been on it for too long, you could tell it 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and then it'll tell you that your time is up.
Yeah, I love that.
So, yeah, I think the boundaries are important.
Yeah, the other thing that I've noticed is that it's the timeline that's the killer, right? It's this random stuff that pops up, whereas a lot of people don't know you can set direct links to your groups and to your pages and things directly on your phone. So when you click on it, it goes directly to that thing rather than to your feed, which distracts you and takes you away from for me it's Facebook is mostly just a business place to do business. And I, of course, get, wrapped into conversations that are just time wasters, honestly, in the end. So that was one of the things I just recently did because, I'm really trying to move away from that. I've also been banned from Facebook 3 times. So I don't put all my eggs in the Facebook basket. I'm pretty big on LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's such a good point. You just brought up a great point, especially as e-commerce business owners or any business owner. You cannot rely on any of the social media platforms as your only means of reaching your audience. And so I mentioned it very, very slowly earlier, but building your email list is one of the most important things you can do because you will always have that email list. You own that asset, whereas you don't own your social media follower asset. You have no way of reaching those people if for some reason you get banned from the platform. And Andy, I don't know why you were banned, but I'll tell you that you can get banned for nothing and your page can get deleted for no reason. And in your mind, there's no reason. Facebook's AI and bots thought that there was a reason, and that's why they did it. And it's almost impossible to get it back. It takes a lot, and you probably need to connect with somebody like me in order to get it back, and that even doesn't always work. I just had a client that I took on, and she told me that their page was banned, and luckily it wasn't their page. It was actually her personal account, in which she has no idea why. She's not an advertiser or Facebook marketer at all, and her Facebook account got banned from ever advertising. So that is a real thing, and all social media platforms can do that. TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they can all ban you. So always be working on building your email list so that you have a way to reach your people.
Yeah, it's own the audience, right? I've said that for many years. It's the same thing with ManyChat and Messenger and all that. People were really into that. And I laugh because I was I was doing bots when I was 19 years old on ICQ. You're probably too young to even know what that is. But, to me, it's if you don't own that audience, somebody can just turn the switch and you're done. The only thing I think I can think of for why I got banned was most likely something to do with advertising. You know, being in the Amazon space, they're really looking at the Amazon space because there were a lot of like scammy people in the Amazon space. So, like you
Yeah.
said, the AI bots probably picked up on something. I actually hired an ex Facebook employee to try to unblock my account, and even he couldn't do it. So they really
I
don't like
know. It's
me. Yeah, so
yeah.
if you go to my main like Facebook profile, like my main photo is like a caricature of me because I'm afraid to put my real
Mm.
face up there, seeing that it might like flag something and boot me off again. So yeah, it's ridiculous. But I actually see it as a huge blessing because LinkedIn, at least on the B2B space, is amazing in terms of connecting with people like super high up on the, you know, people that you'd probably never interact with, you know, on other platforms that you can interact with on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn not necessarily great for like pushing products unless it's like info or
No.
software, but a really great place to connect with other business owners and, you know, some of the higher level stuff like that. Um, you know, if somebody's just starting out on social media, you know, besides uh, you know, the basic stuff, any like tools or tricks or something that, you know, somebody just starting out should really concentrate on. I know that one of the things that I always say is like pick one platform that you think is going to perform the best, or do a small test in the beginning and then really concentrate on that one platform and then cross post, you know, kind of as an afterthought if you have time. But anything else like that that you can give advice for in terms of just people just getting started out on social media.
Yeah. That is a definitely a great question. And a lot of you aren't going to like my answer because my answer is really to focus on TikTok because you have the highest chance of reaching the most people doing the least amount of work. And I know that it might feel like video is a lot of work, but this is very raw video that is on TikTok. That's kind of the draw to it. Most of the videos that you see are unedited and recorded with a phone. And the other thing is just start somewhere. So Andy, you're absolutely right. You don't want to get yourself overwhelmed and try to like be like, okay, I'm going to be on all the platforms. Like, no way, you will not do that. That is a lot of work. Like, even as somebody who runs an agency, I do not do that. I focus on like one platform at a time, and wherever I'm going to get the most bang for my buck. For our clients, we're on multiple platforms, but that's, you know, what we do. But so I would say focus your energy into TikTok because of the opportunity that is available on that platform. There is not that opportunity on Facebook whatsoever in any way, and unless you have a group. But even then, it takes time to build a group. I'm sure you know that. And then, I mean, Instagram, there's appeal, but it's going to be hard to get in front of people. So TikTok is the lowest hanging fruit, especially for product or service based businesses.
Love it. So, can you give me an example? You know, I know that a lot of times clients don't want you to share their products or kind of what they're doing, but you know, anything that you can maybe, you know, change a little bit to give people an idea of what it would look like, you know, maybe to run a campaign for a brand for like a week.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like what, in other words, like what would be like, you know, if, so I'm coming on board. I'm coming, I'm saying, hey, like I'm here. I sell, you know, dinner plates or kitchenware, you know, like what would be the plan for me in terms of like the first few weeks, you know, on social media, like, you know, can you just give me like a quick kind of rundown of some of the things you might do in order to get engagement with that brand?
Okay. So if you were working with us, we would put you on the 3 platforms. So we would start off by collecting any assets that you already have. So like any photos that you have ever taken of it, any time that you've ever been mentioned in any sort of publication, and then we would probably like kind of direct you into taking some more photos of yourself. Like we need photos of you. So because we like to be very much an extension of the brand and not like we want to include you in the branding. It makes it more personable. Plus, people react better to pictures of people, and so then for the video content, we usually come up with a list of different videos that we think could work. We also would probably ask for your product if there wasn't like tons of SKUs, so that we could do videos as well. For dinner plates, like there's a lot of really fun videos that you could do of like adding food and taking away food, or stacking plates, or just showing them all in general. I don't know. I feel like I didn't answer that question very well, but like I mentioned earlier, like we do a lot of the competitor research and come up with some content pillars. I also have like a questionnaire, so we get a lot more information about whoever it is that we're working for, so that we can kind of create out of that. But then we just start creating content. We schedule 2 weeks out, which makes it a lot easier. I recommend that business owners do this, and I know it feels like a lot, but if you could dedicate like an hour or two to social media once a week or every 2 weeks and just got everything scheduled out, it would make your life easier. You'd be able to show up consistently. You could put all of that brain power into like one time of thinking, rather than every day like feeling guilty or realizing that another day went by and you didn't do what you wanted to do about it. Yeah.
Cool. No, I like that. So, the other thing that I would love to know is, if somebody's like afraid to be on camera, right? I know that before I started this podcast, before I started doing a ton of lives, like I'm an introvert, not a great public speaker. I feel like I've progressed quite a bit, but like any tips for people who, you kind of mentioned are a little bit afraid to be on video?
Yeah. First of all, you have a really good speaking voice. So
I used to
you
be,
said you were
my
nervous
day
about
job
it.
used to be an air traffic controller. So I had to be
Yeah,
clear and concise.
got it. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to put your face on camera. Like I just mentioned, there is something about it. Like we are humans. We like to see human faces. People are attracted to it. But there's ways to get around it. Like we have a client that we don't really have, like, we don't get a lot of video content from them. So there's a filter where it's just like eyes and a nose and a mouth, and you can put it on pictures. So we do that a lot, and kind of do silly stuff with it. If you're a product, there's a ton of videos you could do that don't show your face, videos of packing your product, or getting it. And if you're creating it in your house, like obviously you could do a lot of videos of it. Or if it's in a studio nearby, you could do videos of the actual process of it being made, not showing anything proprietary, but just kind of like the fun stuff. Like you mentioned, you could do a day in the life. You could do a day in the life like every single day, where you're just taking videos of your feet, of your food, of your drive, of your whatever, if you're a particular product like the dog food, like all of your videos could be dogs. I mean, everybody loves dogs. So if you have anything to do with pets or kids, like that's what sells on social media. So it's just being a little bit more creative about like what could we do here without my face, although your face could be really helpful at some point for sure.
I'm not seeing a lot of faces when I get onto TikTok. That's all I'm saying.
You don't see faces. TikTok. Okay, so TikTok algorithm is actually like one of the best algorithms. I saw this article not long ago about how they were selling it because it's so good. But like everybody's in their own little TikTok space of seeing exactly what they want to see. So like that's like the one feed you don't have to curate, because there's not a bunch of advertisers. Like your grandma's probably not on there yet. And so it's just like it's literally like the best content that you want to see right in front of you.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things, I'm not on TikTok. I'm one of those people who, I have a daughter, so I get very scared when I pull TikTok up, because I'm like, you're never ever going to be on that platform in the history of.
No,
It's probably going to be
your
something
algorithm's
worse.
not ready yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
Yeah.
probably no. She's too young, and they don't get to use technology either. But I'm sure there'll be something worse, like when she's a teenager, so it'll be even harder to figure that out. The algorithms will be even worse. But that being said, I have seen some great content in terms of entrepreneurs and people doing kind of short form instructional stuff. So there's definitely some benefits there. I can totally see that. Now, what do you say to those people who are like, "Hey, I'm 43 years old. Like I'm not seeing a lot of people in my age group on TikTok, even though that is changing. I've seen the demographics change. What do you say to people who are, I'm too old for this?"
You're not. No, the demographic has completely shifted. I think I actually did a TikTok presentation with the Amazon group about, and I had some of the statistics in there about the demographic that that has changed. And so if you look at like the adopter curve of Facebook, like it started off with college students, and then because it was only open to college students, and then it adjusted from there into, you know, like 20s and 30-year-olds. And then now everybody's grandma's on it. And so they're way past the early adopter phase. And so TikTok started off the same way with a very young generation. And it has since grown, especially through the pandemic. A lot of people were on their phones, like on TikTok, and the demographic has changed drastically. And so while there are still a large number of young people on it, I think 29 plus is about 40% of the users right now. So it is definitely, there are people of all ages and on TikTok right now for sure.
All right, so that means that there's a new platform in the horizon in the next year or two that everybody will escape TikTok and say like, "There's too many old people there," just like Facebook, right? And
Exactly.
then they'll migrate to the next platform. So that'll be interesting to see what comes next there. In terms of you know, working with influencers, I know that like a great or at least a decent technique when you're first starting out is to maybe partner with somebody already on the platform who has a decent following, give them free product, give them some type of value, you know, to in exchange for kind of getting the word out about you. Do you have any ways of finding good influencers that are actually like quality, that aren't, like you said, buying likes, you know, kind of having these fake followers, you know, any way to really tell if, you know, somebody is legit and might be good to work with?
So on Instagram, there are different programs that you can put handles in, and they'll give you like a grade of the account. There's even extensions like Chrome extensions that you can add that'll give you the grade of the account, which will basically tell you, is this a legit account? It's like an A, B, C, D, F grade. So that is scanning for like how much engagement they're getting, how fast their followers are coming on, things like that. So I know that, I mean, working with influencers can be really helpful, but it could also be, it could also kind of bite you. One thing that I heard from some really amazing marketers is to use influencers as a way to create content for you. So rather than focusing so much on what they're going to be doing for you as far as like bringing people in, because in reality, statistically, they're probably not going to bring that much sales to you. And so make sure that there's somebody whose content creation kind of matches the vibe that you're looking for. So people who could create pictures or videos that you can then use for your own assets. You can use them on your website, you can use them in your ads, you can use them on your Amazon account, you can use them for your content. That would be a better way of doing it, or at least how I'm looking at influencers at this time.
Awesome. So the other thing I'm curious about, and like I said, I don't spend a ton of time on TikTok, so this is going to be a selfish question, but like, I mean, I've done a couple of duets, but like, how can you use? I know that a lot of people use duets to like really grow their engagement and following. Like, how does that work, and what are some techniques for duets?
Interesting question. So I think that there's a lot of techniques for growing on TikTok. The advantage to duets is like if you're using the same sound and it's like kind of a specific sound, like a unique sound, then you'll be under that sound of videos. If you can add something to the content, so there's some creators who have literally like gotten their following from how well they add to the content that's already been created. So whether it's something funny usually or just something educational. I think that what I have seen is really helpful as far as helping an account grow is like, number one, like using, there's a lot of things. First of all, not having a lot of like dead air and keeping your video short when you begin with. People have a really short attention span. And so like 7 to 8 seconds. Under 15 seconds is going to be really helpful when you're starting. And then using trending sounds. So think of TikTok as like the opposite or like inverse of a meme. So like with memes, you know, like we all understand the picture and we add text to it to make it relevant for us. With TikTok, we all get the sound. And so then you're just adding video to make it relevant. And then like you could stitch videos, meaning like you take their first 5 seconds and then you add to the end of it. A duet would mean like you guys are you're both talking at the same time. I feel like those are a little bit harder unless you're actually looking at a video that doesn't have any talking with it. But like I said, like there is like this kid and he reacts to people doing like, their seemingly normal things. And he's like, why are these people doing this? Like, that's really funny. So if you can add value, if you have a very well-known product and you find videos of people using it, you could definitely duet those. If you are selling dog food and you find videos of people feeding their dogs, like you could duet or stitch those. You could respond to all of those. One thing that's really amazing is the way that brands react on TikTok and how they get into the comment sections of very well-known or well-viewed, highly viewed videos and become a part of the conversation. So there's just still a lot of opportunity on that app.
I love that. So that kind of brings me to a few more questions. So, you know, what are some of the things to get the most visibility? I know things like hashtags, like you said, you know, some of the other things, the duet stitching, like anything else. Like what are some great techniques in order to get the absolute most amount of visibility that you can in whatever it is you're doing?
I think sounds play a big part of it. And keeping your video short and to the point. If you are talking, you really want to keep it under 15 seconds to start with. Like I get videos from clients that are like a minute or 45 seconds, and I'm chopping out a lot of what they're saying because it's just like straight to the point. Like we just want to get to the point. I mean, okay, so TikTok's known as like a dancing app, right? But like you don't have to dance to be on TikTok, but you can dance on TikTok and you don't have to be good at it. And it is fun and you can like add text to it. But those kind of things can help you stand out. So you have to think about what is going to be relatable to the people that you're trying to reach. So I think that one of the things I see with a lot of business owners is creating content that other business owners can relate to. And that's not necessarily your audience. So having a really good understanding of what type of content your audience can relate to. So if your audience are dog lovers or dog owners, like, can you create content that dog lovers would appreciate, you know, whatever that looks like? Maybe it's all content of your dog and there's barely any talk of your actual product, but you're able to build an audience and around dog content. Then if you can find things that are like in line with your niche, so like no bones dog. I'm not sure, if you're not on TikTok, you might have no idea what I'm talking about, but there's like this old pug and people were like obsessed with him saying if it was going to be a bones or no bones day, but he's a dog, right? So like if you had a dog product, you could stitch those videos or duet those videos or comment on all those videos or, you know, start getting yourself in with that. Or, you know, like if you can find something like a trending idea or topic on TikTok and become a part of that conversation, that could be helpful too.
Yeah, I love that. That brings up another good point is, you know, a lot of people don't realize when you go to social media that if you don't have an avatar or a persona that, you know, that you're kind of going to be shooting in the dark. So just to share with the audience, a tool that I love that's free, that works pretty well. I'll post it in the chat if you're with us live here, is HubSpot.com make-my-persona. Go there and just build your persona real quick. And that'll give you a lot of ideas on content and things to create that will resonate with your audience. I didn't know, I'm gonna have to seek this pug out because we have a 13-year-old female pug and she can't hear. So, you know, I'm sort of wishing I had dog food, you know, to sell right now because I'm already thinking of some great content. So if you know, if people can't they can't get into TikTok. I know that's what we've really been concentrating on.
Yeah.
What are some other platforms? I know you were talking to Instagram and Facebook. I mean, if TikTok's your number one, what would be your backup? Would it be Facebook groups? Would it be Instagram stories? Would it be what would people do if they just can't get into TikTok?
Okay. So I with Facebook groups, I actually I just made this thing that's like 9 ways to make a sale on social media today, and Facebook groups is like one of the fastest, easiest ways to do that. So I think there's a huge advantage to Facebook groups, like not even necessarily building your own Facebook group, but being in strategic Facebook groups that you can then be a part of the conversation. So I see a lot of value in that. That is definitely a different type of marketing. It's not necessarily like social media marketing or social media strategy, but it is a really great way to get in front of people and to get quick sales. But I would say Instagram would be my backup plan. And again, with the video, I like when we manage Instagram accounts for clients, we're in the stories, we're creating video, we're not just posting on the feed, because there's just a lot more to Instagram, and there's a lot more to the way that people are consuming content right now than that. But so yeah, again, like it's hard for me. I can't like commit to a favorite, but obviously I lean hard towards TikTok, but I hope that you guys all understand that it is because I see the value in it, and it's much more valuable than the other platforms as far as like using social media to your advantage. But there's definitely things about Facebook that you could use to your advantage, or things about Instagram you could use to your advantage. If you're just trying to reach people quickly, TikTok's the way to go.
Awesome. So, yeah, we were talking about what's going to be next. All you need to do is watch Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee will tell you what the next
You
big
know.
platform is. I actually haven't
Yeah,
watched him
but
in a
all we
while, but
talking about is NFTs, and then Web3. Really, I think the next thing is Web3, but that's like a whole nother like huge
yeah,
topic.
yeah, and I must be getting old because I totally would have been into that kind of stuff like 5, maybe 10 years ago. But now I'm just like I'm getting to the point where I'm the old dude who is like I don't get it. I'm not buying that weird cartoon for $1,000. Like I just no thanks. I'd rather go buy a rental property. Like I don't quite get it. But
True.
yeah, that is a whole nother conversation. Crypto, on the other hand, I'm definitely into. I do some crypto day trading and AI bots and all that fun stuff. But I guess it's all what you're into. That's another good point. Is being passionate about what you're doing, right? Because if you try to get on social media and just force yourself to produce content, I mean, in the beginning, it might be fine just to kind of exercise that muscle, but people are going to see through you if you're posting stuff that's just kind of like manufactured, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and like I think if you're not, there's something to be said about the energy that you bring to what you're creating. And so if you're creating content and you're not excited about it, like I would suggest find somebody who can help you. If it's not an agency like mine, maybe it's just a VA that can create graphics for you that then you're scheduling, you know. But if you're coming to it with just like this feeling of dread, that's not really a good way to spend your time. So I would definitely suggest getting some help, because of course there's importance to it and there's value to it. But you don't want to be stuck doing something that you don't want to do.
Yeah. So are there any cases at all where a client comes to you and they say, okay, I'm into the organic thing, but I also want to spend some ads? And if they do that, kind of how are you spending that ad money? Or is it just to, try to get more clicks? Is it try to get more views? Kind of what's the strategy to combine your organic stuff with some paid ads if you want to kind of
Yeah.
cheat and get
So
ahead of the line?
yeah. So we have run ads for clients multiple times. The thing about running Facebook ads is, number one, as an e-com brand, you need to remember that your purpose of running ads is really for the longevity of the customer. And so your email game should be on point so that you can continue to keep these people as customers. So you're probably going to pay You might not get much of a return off of your first sale with these people. So you're really depending on the second, third, fourth. And honestly, I know an amazing e-commerce email person I should connect you with so you can have them on here, because they could probably be super valuable to your audience. And so if you're running Facebook ads, you want to be sure that you're letting Facebook know exactly what that objective is that you want them to do. So don't ever run ads. There's a lot, right? Like, your page needs to be set up. You need to have your pixel there. You need to make sure that Facebook can collect all the data that it needs to. And then tell Facebook that if you want people to convert as a buyer, you need to tell Facebook to find you conversions. Don't tell Facebook to find you web traffic. Don't tell Facebook to find you likes. You want Facebook to find you conversions, and so that it knows who else to find. Facebook AI is working to understand the data that's being given to it. So if you tell Facebook, like, find me web traffic, but you really want conversions, Facebook's only finding people who are likely to click on that link and go to your web page, not people who are willing to buy. So there's just a couple of things. Like, it really depends. When people come to me wanting to buy Facebook ads, we have to have a lot of conversations about what they actually want to do, because I don't like to see people waste their money. And I know that Facebook is a very valuable tool, and it's a beast, and it's got so much data and so many people on it, but I want to be sure that everything is set up for you so that you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. Boom Cosmetics is one of the biggest e-commerce brands, and they're selling through their email list. So that's why I tell you, your email list is super important, and they're running billions of dollars of Facebook ads, but they're making all of their money through their email list. So the Facebook ads are great. They're really great for building your email list. They're really great for, if you want to grow your Facebook page, you can run a likes campaign and grow your Facebook page. If you want to grow your Facebook group, I actually have a client right now that we're building her Facebook group by running a likes campaign. We're getting likes for 15 to 25 cents a like, and then inviting them into our group so that we can grow our group, and that can be an asset for their business. So there are some things, low dollar things you can do like that. If you are running, conversion ads, make sure that your Facebook shop is set up. Make sure that your pixel's set up. Make sure that your email game is set up, and kind of go from there.
Ezra Firestone's a beast, and he is like the Facebook master. The podcast they're on, I can't remember the name of the podcast. It is one of my favorites, though.
Digital Marketer.
Yeah.
Well, their brand is Digital Marketer.
Digital Marketer. Yeah. Yep. Molly Pittman, I think, is his co-host. Yeah. Fantastic. One of my favorites. I actually haven't listened to it in quite a while, but if you're still kind of newer to the Facebook ads game, absolutely suggest that. On that same token, kind of, you're not only, somebody who's doing social media, but you're also running a small business. And that's what everybody listening to this podcast is doing. Any, tips or tricks or anything that kind of, that as you were building your business that you were like, oh, I wish I could have told myself 6 months ago to do this, not this.
So many things, right? I think that one of the biggest lessons that I'm learning right now is to be patient. I think that at the beginning, I was like super in a hurry to reach a certain level and get to big, huge goals. And one thing I'm like super leaning into right now is to be more patient, to keep my energy high. My coach says, like, protect the asset. So I know I mentioned that a little bit, but I work really hard to keep my energy at a high level so that I can attract more high level things to me and not worry so much on controlling the outcome, but more of just keeping myself in a good place so that I can, keep everything else good. I feel like that was really woo-woo, but
no, that's fantastic. I'm super into woo-woo. So is my wife.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
right
I mean, yeah, no, for sure. The secret is one thing, but like we both did something called Landmark Education, which is all about, it's kind of like The Secret, where, you're creating stuff and visualizing it every day and things like that. And it is super woo, but if you talk to majority of the successful people, they all say they've got a morning ritual where they meditate and do all these things. And if you look at the commonality of all those things, it's pretty apparent that, whether it's woo or not, it's working. So, anything else?
I totally agree.
Anything else that you want to share in terms of, I'm big into personal development now as a business owner for many, many years. That's one of the things I wish I would have done early on, because if you do the personal development, everything else will come. Any books, podcasts, anything like that you want to share that have made a big impact in what you're doing?
Absolutely. So one of the first books that I think really changed my life was Jensen Chero's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. And I've heard a lot of people say that about that book. So that book was pretty absolutely amazing. The book right now that I'm reading that I can feel again is completely shifting my life is Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein. But I do have a morning routine that I've been doing since I started my business, and I attribute a lot of where I've gotten to that. I practice daily gratitude, so I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for every single day. I write down my goals every single day. I do take walks with listening to positive affirmations. I be sure to prioritize working out. That was one thing that Amy and I connected on is I've been doing CrossFit for the last almost 4 years. And so, yeah, like prioritizing your mental and physical well-being is huge when building a company, because it's hard, right? Like we all know that, like building a business is really hard for all sorts of reasons. So as much as you can keep yourself protected and your mindset protected, and it's gonna be a lot better.
I love it. All right, Jen. So let people know how they can get a hold of you. Anything else you want to plug? Now's the time.
Yeah. So I really wish I had my other thing ready for you guys, but it wasn't quite ready. So in the chat, I do have it's 25 ideas for TikTok and Reels. So we've talked a ton about it. If you're interested, I can get that over to you. But you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Keyheart Marketing. And it's spelled KEEHART marketing. And then I'm on LinkedIn, Jen Mckee. I'd love to connect with you there. I do really love to connect with you guys. So please find me on Instagram is like where you'll find the most like personal me, but I'm also obviously on TikTok a ton. So I would love to connect with you guys, and feel free to reach out with any ideas or questions or just to connect. I love to like have coffee chats and, just meet new people. So that's it. I would love to connect with everybody.
Yeah, go do a duet with I'm sure she's got a fancy like TikTok. So go and duet with Jen on TikTok with her fancy like video.
Like
you have one, don't
hundreds
you?
of TikToks.
You have one, don't you? Tell me the truth.
I have a ton of TikToks. So yeah, you were welcome to duet any of my TikToks.
Hey, Jen, really nice chatting with you today. Thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate it. For everybody who joined us live in the meeting, we really love having you guys here live when we record the episodes. We do it every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, sellerroundtable.com. If you haven't yet, please rate, review, subscribe, share this with somebody if you got some value out of it. We'd really, really appreciate that. We've been doing this for a while now, and we try to just continue to bring you guys great content. If there's anything you want to hear about on the podcast, please drop us a line. LinkedIn is where I live the most. So I believe my link is linkedin.com/in, and then I believe it's selling on Amazon. So it's pretty easy to remember. Drop me a line there, connect with me there, and I'm happy to answer questions as long as it's short and concise. If you write me like 3 paragraphs, I get a little frustrated, I have to say. So value my time, and I'll definitely get back to you guys. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the Seller Roundtable.
Thanks.
All right, everybody's watching live on the other social channels. We're going to stop the live stream, but if the audience has questions, they get to do a Q&A here. And you guys don't get to. So hopefully you'll join us live next time. So roundtable.com/live. Remember that. Come see us live.